Let us begin. Let us first begin by asking the divine to aid us in this great work that we are about to participate in. Almighty God, whose kingdom is everlasting and power infinite, be gracious unto the Universal Negro Improvement Association and African Communities League, and grant that thy servants may faithfully and confidently lead our people to that great destiny that you have in store for us. Almighty God, thank you for giving to us one of the greatest leaders that has ever lived. And that is why we are here today, to make sure that we honor him and ask the world to help us lift him up. And when we have lifted up the Alma Marcus Garvey, he will draw all men unto him. I ask these things in our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, name and spirit. Let us all say amen. Brothers and sisters, fellow members of
Man,
the African race, happy 110th anniversary of the arrival of the Jamaican-born Honorable Marcus Mosiah Garvey. Born August the 17th, 1887, died June the 10th, 1940, came to the United States of America on March the 23rd, 1916. He was an ordinary man with extraordinary ability who founded the Universal Negro Improvement Association and African Communities League in 1914 in Jamaica and brought his organization to the United States later. He sailed from Kingston, Jamaica on Tuesday, March the 7th, 1916, arrived in New York port on March the 23rd, 1916. This will be the first international commemoration of his arrival in New York port aboard the SS Talek or steamship Talek. We call on all the citizens of the United States to join the members of the Universal Negro Improvement Association and African Communities League, the Honorable Marcus Mosiah Garvey's family, the scholars and historians and friends on this day, March the 23rd, 2026, in the celebration of his coming to America. We see his coming as a great blessing to the citizens of the United States, especially African Americans. We see and count the many ways he shined a light where there was utter darkness in Jim Crow America that was affecting Black people to their detriment. He gave hope to a race devastated by lynching, murders, discrimination, injustice, and oppression. He gave our race a backbone where they had only been operating with a wishbone. When he arrived in the United States, he had a wreath laid at the grave site of Booker T. Washington, who he had been communicating with up until his death in 1915, and who had extended an invitation to him to come to America. Then Marcus Garvey traveled by train through 38 states for an entire year. His tour of this country was a further study of the conditions and lives of the people and its many institutions. He had read about them and he had seen them firsthand in his travels. Of course, he had read about America in the Orient Times and Review. He had read Booker T. Washington's Up from Slavery, an autobiography of himself, Edward Wilmot Blyton's book, and dozens more. Marcus Garvey seized the opportunity to meet with every so-called leader in every field, religious, political, educational, social, humanitarian, and charitable, during his travels through the United States. He was also able to reach out to the newspapers to both read them and to write articles in some of them that reflected what his observations were telling him through his travels. But I've said that to say that This pinpoints the arrival of him in the United States, but it does not pinpoint the beginning of his life. We have with us, excuse me, of the son of Dr. Julius Winston Garvey, and we must uh, call on him to sanction this event where we're striving to honor his father. I don't think that there has been a human being in recent times that has done more to honor his father than his son. Excuse me, please. This effort to get him pardoned year after year was the most telling sign of his love for his father. His father wanted to be pardoned, but he passed and he passed to work on, and his son lived to see that brought into a reality. But not just his son, many of us bore the burden of getting petitions signed to get the pardon accomplished. And we thank him, we thank Dr. Julius Garvey for that. But just as is significant is that what makes the Honorable Marcus Garvey a great man to be remembered for all times is that he came from a great background. Marcus Garvey was great before he founded the Universal Negro Improvement Association and African Communities League. He was great before he went to Europe and traveled through 9 countries. He was great before he went to South and Central America. He was great because he had a great mother who loved him and believed that he would be something in his life. He would be a leader of his people. He had a great father with indomitable will and determination, bold and aggressive, and he inherited the 2 spirits from his parents. And now we have today the children and the grandchildren and the in-laws and the great-grandchildren of the Honorable Marcus Mosiah Garvey. So he will live forever. Would you join me, please, in inviting his son, Dr. Julius Winston Garvey, to say his words, please.
Thank you, Shaka. Well, as you mentioned, it's 110 years since my father came to this country. And I think what was important is his preparation in that he studied the world and he studied himself and he studied books, shall we say, in terms of what was written about the world. But he traveled the world to see things for himself firsthand. And that was repeated also when he came to the United States. He had read about the United States, he read about Booker T, and of course he went to Tuskegee. But as you mentioned, he traveled through 38 states within a year, all on his own dime. And of course, he was not a rich person. So the point is that he was somebody who was not simply curious, but exercised critical thinking and went to you might say, extreme effort to determine the truth as he could see it and find it out for himself. He did not depend on somebody else's opinion, even though he admired people like Booker T and Wilmot Blyden and others who preceded him. But he was somebody who dealt with first-hand information. And he understood, therefore, the condition of the world. And when he said the condition of the world, that was essentially the British Empire at that time, because this was, as you mentioned, 1916, and of course this was the height of the First World War. America hadn't entered yet. America was going to enter towards the end in 1917. So this was a very troubled period of time worldwide. And he understood this. And he understood that this was a time when there were changes in the structure of the world. And this was a period of time when if African people could come together as a unitary force, they could take advantage of these changes in the world. And he understood also that the conditions of African people worldwide were the same, whether they had been enslaved, as in the Americas and the Caribbean, and of course also colonized in the Caribbean or colonized in Africa. The conditions were the same in that the forces that enslaved and colonized were the same forces, the imperial forces of Great Britain and the other European countries. And he understood that their principles were different from humanitarian principles of African people, the principles that we needed, that we had advanced over time because he understood our history, as you mentioned, in terms of him being involved with the African Times and Orient Review. He read extensively of their library, so he understood Kemet, he understood Ethiopia, he understood Kush, etc., and different African countries in terms of their history. So he understood where we came from. And as we said, the black skin is not a badge of shame, but a glorious, symbol of our own greatness. So he understood our own greatness. And he also understood the cyclical nature of history over time. He understood that we were once great, and while Europe may be great now, Europe would not be great forever. And I can fast forward now to the American hegemony, which is not only being challenged, but it's going to be destroyed by Iran and the unity of Russia, China, and Iran, as well as the BRICS countries. So we see that empires come and empires fall. He understood that by virtue of his knowledge of history. And he was preparing us for our time. And the two things that were necessary was one, a raising of our consciousness and understanding of who we were as a people historically, but who we were as persons individually, full conscious human beings, conscious of our human dignity and our human ability to see reality and to transform reality in terms of ways in which we're proper for us in terms of a lifestyle that would be, shall we say, collective, because he understood also that that was the essence of our humanism. It was not individualism, it was collectivism. All of our history shows that we're a people who cooperate and we have a collectivist community and nation state. So those were the things that he brought, an understanding of the world system that oppressed us, and the fact that it was unjust, that it was inhumane, it was individualistic, it was materialistic. It did not understand the spiritual nature of humanity, and that humanism basically was a balancing of spirit and matter, not simply materialism and not simply individualism. So he firmly understood that, and he tried to inculcate that into us as a people wherever he was. Not only in terms of his speeches per se, but in terms of the schools that he attempted to create, in terms of his philosophy, in terms of his different teachings in different places over time. So his message was crucial to that period of time. As you know, that this was a time when American soldiers were coming back from the war and still being lynched in uniform. It was a time of Jim Crow and sharecropping, and a time of movement of African Americans from the south to the north, moving from an agricultural base to a city life, shall we say, in places, like Chicago and Detroit and New York and Philadelphia, et cetera, et cetera. So this was a transformative period in American life, as it was for everybody else in the world. And Americans at that time still knew who the enemy was, because we're still being lynched, so we still knew what Jim Crow was. So his appeal to African Americans in particular at that particular time was to develop our own communities. And as you mentioned, it's not just the UNIA, it's the African Communities League, which is a significant part of the organizational structure. So we needed to build African communities that were independent of other institutions, shall we say, depending on our own institutions within the community, whether it's banks or hospitals or doctors and nurses, security concerns, and other financial concerns. So this was his basic idea to develop African communities worldwide that would be united together. And of course, the key, which he understood, was the homeland. We had to liberate the homeland. And of course, his words were the redemption of Africa. So we have redemption song. And we had to redeem Africa from colonialism and the conquest of its people and the rape of the resources of Africa, and that was part of his Liberia scheme and so on. As we go down the road, that was part of the Black Star Line to communicate and to trade in terms of international commerce. He had a full understanding of the world, and he had a full solution for us as African people in terms of uniting us. He brought to us the understanding that we're a global people. We weren't just, people born in Brooklyn, New York, or in Kingston, Jamaica, or in Accra, Ghana. That we were a universal people. He brought this to us in spades, so to speak. That we were one people. We came from one source, and we were one people wherever we were born. And I think that's the Peter Tosh thing. Where you're born, you're a black man. That's Marcus Garvey's ideas. But you can't take the African out of us. The African is born in us. So he gave us that understanding. So even if we were born in America, we were African Americans. If we were born in the Caribbean, we're African Caribbeans. If we're born in Africa, we're African Africans. So Africa came first. You see, and that's important as we come now to the 110th anniversary, and we see now disorder across the border and disorder all over the world. And we see America going up against China, basically. They're trying to take down China. They've tried to take down Russia with Ukraine, and they've failed. And they're going to fail even worse. And Europe has been going along with them. But Europe is at the crosshairs, and Trump is dumping Europe, and Europe has nowhere to go. So we just have to discard Europe. We can't take up Europe, and we can't let Europe stay in Africa. We have to get the French out of Africa and not let them back in. So we have to align ourselves then now with the forces of a multipolar order universally. And we have to understand who our friends are. Our friends have to be the Iranians. Our friends have to be the Russians. Our friends have to be the Chinese. Our friends have to be Brazil. Our friends have to be all of the Africans and different people in Latin America, the Venezuelans and the Cubans, and all those people who strive for freedom against imperialist powers. And as Rubio the other day, I don't want to say any curse words, but as Rubio said the other day, he wants a return to colonialism. I mean, the guy's a damn fool. He can't turn history back. You're a fool. History doesn't repeat itself in that way. Perhaps our president is not that much wiser than Rubio, because he's put himself in a pickle and he doesn't have an off-ramp. So the point is that for us, we have to learn our lessons, and we have to learn the Garvey lesson, even if it's 110 years later. We're a little bit late in learning, and we're hard-headed. But as Brother Jeffrey is here trying to teach us, we have to learn the Garvey way. And, it's time, for us to understand, number one, who the enemy is, and number two, we're an African people with a long history, the first civilized people in the world, and perhaps the only fully civilized people. Because if you want to call what Europe has achieved, if you want to call that civilization, you have to call it mechanical civilization or materialistic civilization. You can't call it a humanistic civilization, because they destroy life. Everywhere they go, they take the disease, destruction, and death. The last 500 years are exemplars of that. I mean, the genocide in Gaza, the first televised genocide. by Israel and in association with the United States. And the unprovoked attack on Iran and the bombing of civilians. You see that? They killed 160 girls at the first strike. I mean, this is disgusting. That's not a civilization. But those are people who don't value human life. And then, of course, we see the Epstein files, and we know that a number of these people are perverts. And it's the Epstein class that is running the world, the top 1% or 5% who own 80% of the world's riches. And they're the ones orchestrating all the divisions and all the wars in the world. So it's time for us to wake up. And I think that's what my dad came here to accomplish, for us to wake up to the reality of the world and to claim our place in the world. So that's my contribution for today. Hopefully we will learn the message over 110 years. And I look forward to working with everybody here to bring about a greater Africa awakening at the present time. Thank you.
That was an excellent contribution, Dr. Julius Winston Garvey, son of the Honorable Marcus Mosiah Garvey, the youngest son, the former son, who also served as the President General of the Universal Negro Improvement Association for about 11 years, was also one who was interested in getting a pardon for his father. And I thank you for that great effort. And I thank you because we, in our lifetime, saw it happen. Brothers and sisters, in Jamaica, where the Universal Negro Improvement Association was founded, the early days, about 1 year and 9 months, the Honorable Marcus Garvey achieved a great deal among the people of Jamaica. He had classes in the sciences and the languages that were taught to the children. He had oratory classes. He had instructions in terms of farming and agriculture. And so some have tried to say that because he only had 100 loyal and dedicated followers, that he didn't have much success in Jamaica. But if you try to compare what he did in the United States to what he did in Jamaica, you could think of it that way. But there were great accomplishments that took place in Jamaica to such an extent that he caught the attention of Booker T. Washington, who said, "Come to America and I will help you." Booker T died before he was able to arrive, but he came a year later after his death in 1916. And so I've asked several leaders in the UNIA to turn to the pages in the Philosophy and Opinions so that we could look carefully at how fast the UNIA grew under his leadership here in New York. If you will, turn to page 124, between 124 and 128, where we'll look at what kind of numbers did he attract into the UNIA in the very early stages of his involvement in building his division in New York. Brother John Hargrove, are you prepared to share some information with us? Unmute yourself and let's talk about the kind of numbers. And others who are on those pages, you can turn and look at those numbers that he was able to bring into the UNIA, kicking and screaming all the way, but he brought them in. Brother John?
Uh, yes, I am prepared, Brother Shaka. Are you asking for me to read the Negro's Greatest Enemy essay, or was there something more particular you were referring to?
You're right. Inside of that essay, he gives the numbers that he was able to recruit inside of the UNIA. Can somebody help me with that? Where's Brother Morima?
Yeah, the number I saw was.
All right, I'm gonna help you with that.
I see it. I think I see it. It says I intended to return to Jamaica to perfect the Jamaican organization, but when we had enrolled about 800 or 1,000 members in Harlem, and had elected the officers, a few Negro politicians tried to turn the movement into a political club.
Now let's stop there for a second before we go and look at the other numbers. When people compare what he did in Jamaica with what he did in the United States, they tend to be a little unfair. 100 loyal and dedicated members of the UNIA, and some of those members that he organized in Jamaica stayed with him when he returned to Jamaica after having been deported. They were there waiting on him. And today you can't find divisions of the UNIA that have 100 members. So we have to be careful when we start trying to make it seem as though he didn't accomplish very much when he was in Jamaica. Let's look at some other numbers, Brother John.
Sure, I'll continue. In the section titled Political Faction Fight, there's a statement that says, I started again and in 2 months built up a new organization of about 1,500 members.
Now,
Again,
look at this. The second time out, and how much did it take him?
I said 2 months?
Two
In 2
months.
months, yeah.
Was able to pull together another 1,500 members inside of the UNIA. Please continue.
Uh, he says, continuing, he says, in 3 weeks, more than 2,000 members had joined. By this time, I had the association incorporated, so to prevent the other factions using the name. But in 2 weeks, the politicians had stolen all the people's money, had smashed up their faction.
Thank you, Brother John. Now, brothers and sisters, the work that the Honorable Marcus Garvey did in 1917, 18, 19, we haven't duplicated yet. And some of our scholars feel as though we need to get the information into the hands of our children as soon as we possibly can. Grade school, even in the cradle. So our brother who has joined us is a scholar. He is one who has written books for the youth because he believes that we've got to start with the youth. They've got to be given this knowledge. Brother Jeffrey Phillip, would you share why you think it's important that we educate the young people about the life and works of the Honorable Marcus Garvey? Thank you, John. Unmute yourself. Thank you, brother.
For inviting me. Although they had some disagreements, I think His Majesty Emperor Haile Selassie of Ethiopia, when he gave that speech in 1963, he said, everywhere is war. And I don't think we have taken it seriously. Bob Marley turned it into a song, War. We're in the midst of a war and we don't want to admit it. And the person who clearly delineated the sides was Marcus Garvey, more than anybody else. He was the one who helped us to see the totality of it. So we're actually, it's almost a sin. We're bringing up our children without the knowledge of self, and we're just throwing them out into the world, and they have nothing at all, to serve as a foundation for them. So this is why I teach Marcus Garvey. I've written children's book. Last year I wrote a book for Kwanzaa and Christmas called Amy's Christmas Gift, which is all about a little ant named Amy. Of course, that is Amy Jakes Garvey. Her friend Isaac, who is Marcus Garvey's longtime friend, Isaac Rose. So over and over again, they'll be hearing the name Marcus Garvey, Isaac Rose, all of these people who have played an important part in our liberation. But we have to, and one of the things that really got to me was when I was helping with the exoneration, and I gathered 11,000 signatures, which I turned over to Dr. Garvey. And when I was giving a lecture at Miami-Dade College, I was certain that a young man who was in the audience was going to sign the petition. And when I gave him the petition, he said to me, Marcus Garvey, the only thing that Marcus Garvey gave us was lyrics. And that broke my heart. That was when I realized that I needed to turn away from trying to teach grown-ups about Marcus Garvey. And that marked the beginning of again, Bob Marley is my great hero. In the song One Love, that a lot of people sing, but they don't really listen to the lyrics. Bob Marley says, hear the children crying. I hear the children crying. I've taught in elementary schools. I've taught in juvenile detention centers. Uh, and when I've taught in juvenile detention centers, I've even brought a little joy into their life. I've broken the rules there. By at the end of every lecture, they sing redemption song. So that is my great mission. To teach as many children as I can about the great leader, Marcus Mosiah Garvey.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Let me do this, Jeffrey, while we have you there. Dr. Garvey, he is not the only scholar that that is working in the vineyard of education for our young people. What words of encouragement would you say to him and those who want to write the book so that they will continue to provide knowledge that can be fed to our youth? Dr. Garvey, would you unmute yourself, please?
Oh, well, it's not so much writing the books. The books have been written, but it's carrying the message, as Jeffrey said, and finding ways in which to attract the young people to the wisdom. And of course, young people, they have a short attention span. They're used to a lot of animation and so on. So you have to reach them at their level. But this is of great importance because the mind rules everything, and as my dad said over and over again, if you can master your mind, then you can master yourself, and then of course you can master the world, and that's the only way you can really go forward. And all the knowledge is in the world, and you just have to go out there and seek it. So you have to provide the young people with that understanding so that they can be indeed self-starters like Marcus Garvey was himself, because each of us has a message and each of us has something to bring to the table, shall we say, of human civilization. So, we have a current demographic of having the most young people in the world. I think that Africa itself, I think the average age is like under 19, and that's the youngest continent in the world. The average age of Europeans, I think it's somewhere close to 40. So they're old and they're dying off. Similar things here in the United States. And even in China, they're old and getting older. So, but if we have to take advantage of the youth demographic, we have to teach them. We can't have them out there uneducated, because all they're going to do is turn into criminals, shall we say, or non-leaders who position themselves in positions of leadership, but then lead the people astray in order to line their own pockets. So we have to teach them the Garvey style of leadership, which is servant leadership. And that's what, people like Jeffrey are doing, and others who want to, shall we say, teach Marcus Garvey, people like Mariama, who understands the history, etc. So, we have these people, but we need to make it more prevalent, because, when you look at the education of our youngsters, I mean, even if you look at, let's say, HBCUs, or you look at University of the West Indies back home, our curriculum is still basically what Carter G. Woodson said, basically almost 100 years, 110 years ago as well. He said it in 1930. You know, we are miseducating our young people because we're teaching them the same history, philosophy, religion, and everything that, you know, that the white people has. And his philosophy and his history and his morals made him enslave us and kill us and kidnap us and impoverish us and continue and lynching us and so on and so forth. So how can we learn the same thing that they learn? And as he said then, he said, if they don't teach us how to go to the back door, we'll go there ourselves and find a way to make an entrance through the back because our education demands it. And we find that in terms of all the negative effects that our miseducation has on us. We have no self-confidence. You know, we have no belief in our own greatness and our own ability to really accomplish anything. And all we seem to want to do is join with our oppressor and be part of that oppressive machine. Again, as I mentioned, it's failing, and thankfully it's failing in a dramatic way. So even the most ignorant person can see that. So perhaps we'll understand that that's not the way to go. But we have to educate people of where the better way to go is. And the only way that can be done is by using the active, creative intelligence of their minds. And that's what my dad was all about. You have to look into yourself. You have to understand yourself. And you have to take time to do that. And out of that search, then you'll find, you know, your true worth, shall we say, and your true passion, you know, for life and your true contribution to life. And you know, that's something that, you know, is of extreme importance for each of us as something that we can shall we say, provide as positive, you know, for our families, for our neighbors, for our community, and perhaps even for the world. I mean, some of us have that type of genius in terms of us that we can create something that the world really needs. But unless we are educated, we'll never be able to shape that in such a way that it can be useful for us and for others. So education is a must, and you know, and Afrocentric education, if you want to give it a name, is the only way to go.
Thank you, Dr. Garvey. Before I bring on another Garvey scholar, I'd like to go back to President John for a minute. Brother John, in the Philosophy and Opinions page, the second volume, page 124 through 128, would you continue in your sharing with us the numbers that the Honorable Marcus Garvey was able to bring inside of the UNIA? You left off at 2,000. Would you please continue?
My pleasure. Thank you, Brother Shaka. It jumps up quite significantly from 2000. Mr. Garvey says on page 129, he says, by my writings and speeches, we were able to build up a large organization of over 2 million by June of 1919, at which time we launched the program of the Black Star Line.
Continue.
Next one would be by August of 1920, over 4 million persons had joined the movement. A convention of all Negro peoples of the world was called to meet in New York that month. So that's the first international convention of Negro peoples of the world. Shall I continue?
Yes. Give me that big number.
The temporary ruin of the Black Star Line has in no way affected the larger work of the Universal Negro Improvement Association, which now has 900 branches with an approximate membership of 6 million. This organization has succeeded in organizing the Negroes all over the world, and we now look forward to a renaissance that will create a new people and bring about the restoration of Ethiopia's ancient glory.
Thank you, Brother John. Brothers and sisters, this call for the celebration of the 110th anniversary of the Honorable Marcus Garvey coming to the United States of America is important. He laid the foundation for so many different movements, and they weren't just Christian movements or just um, Islamic movements, but the Hebrews benefited from the work of the Honorable Marcus Garvey. And so that ecumenical piece, that connection with our spiritual brothers and sisters must be maintained. The motto of the UNIA is what, Brother Morima? Unmute yourself. Brother John.
Yeah. Yes, sir. I'm sorry about that.
You got
Took
it,
me a
William.
second.
One God,
Yes,
one aim, one destiny. Come on, guys.
that's right. One God, one aim, one destiny. Yes, sir.
Now, what that means is he founded an organization and put one God at the very beginning of the motto, one aim, one destiny. So it tells you a lot about his spirituality that he would raise the idea of the one God as a model for a worldwide movement that he wanted to develop to bring Black people from all over the world. Is Minister Gail Frazier still with us? Would you unmute yourself, please?
Yes, I'm here. God bless you. Greetings.
And God bless you. I need something from you, Minister Asia.
Yes.
I need a prayer. I need you to invoke the Spirit of Almighty God to bless this first international gathering to make the Honorable Marcus Garvey's first arrival in this country a international celebration. Would you bless us with a prayer?
You asking me to bless with a prayer?
Yes, my sister.
Oh, okay. Most gracious Father, Lord and Master, we just come before your holy throne first to acknowledge who you are. And even it's been said, and we all acknowledge that the Honorable Marcus Mosiah Garvey, he acknowledged you in his ways, is written in all of his works. And God, we thank you for his life. And as we, oh God, come before you, we thank you for giving us revelation knowledge and giving us divine instructions to know how to implement the plan, the black print that he's already laid before us to be able to follow. And one of the things that's even more greater is the fact that the Lord placed on the inside of our Honorable Marcus Mosiah Garvey the wisdom to know exactly what to do. And we have everything already laid out before us. So, God, as we go forth now, let us come together in unification and do and fulfill the assignment that you have already given unto us to do. There's no reason for us to be vacillating back and forth. But Lord, we already have a plan. And so, God, even as you have laid it out and you have given it to us, strengthen us, Lord, to help the young people, to teach the young people, to show them the path. Because many people who do not know, some of them don't want to know, but we know that our young people want to know. And so you have imparted that wisdom on the inside of us. We thank God for each person on here. And we thank you, Lord, that you have given unto us that as a mission, as an international global mission, to make sure that those teachings have been steadfastly placed in the minds and hearts of our young people so they can take it and run with that vision. So, God, as we come, we thank you in advance. We know that you're moving in the midst of the situation with miracle signs and wonders following. So as we go forth, God, continue to bless the works of our hands. Continue, oh God, to give us that prophetic voice to be able to speak into the lives of our children to make a difference, God. And so we will forever be thankful and grateful for you and thankful and grateful for the Honorable Marcus Mosiah Garvey. In the name of Jesus Christ, I pray. Amen. Thank God.
Amen.
Amen.
Brothers and sisters, would you welcome Brother Morima Kamal from Washington, D.C. via Maryland, who is a scholar on the life and the works of the Honorable Marcus Mosiah Garvey. Would you come in your own way, Brother Morima?
Thank you, Brother Shaka. And thank all the distinguished guests and friends on the Zoom conference with us and, help us celebrate this auspicious occasion that I refer to as Pilgrimage Day. And not only do I thank you, Brother Shaka, I thank God for Marcus Garvey every day. When people often ask me, why do you love Marcus Garvey so much? What is it about it? And I tell them I love him because he first loved us. This man loved us so much that he was willing to sacrifice, endure all kinds of pain and hardship for our benefit. And because he was able to do that, because he was so bold and courageous when he took his journey to come to America, he didn't have any welcoming committee. He didn't have millions of dollars in sponsorship bringing him to the U.S. In fact, the one who invited him, the Honorable Booker T. Washington, as you mentioned earlier, had already died. So his whole plan and trip and everything that he was coming to had been derailed. And so he was coming to an uncertain future, an uncertain destiny. And he was bold and courageous enough to go forward with it. Even if he had to live in a rooming house and sleep in the hallway, he was going to make sure it happened. And thank God that he was not a man who was dependent upon others, as he much mentioned, the man Know Thyself. One of my favorite, I guess, writings of his was that he was not a man who said die or gave up or who depended on others to do for him what he ought to do for himself. And so he wasn't like some of these other civil rights leaders who were dependent upon white philanthropy in order to get things done. He went out and got things done himself. And so through precepting an example, he taught us to be bold and courageous leaders. And by coming to America, as we celebrate this day, we actually celebrating him, and in doing so, celebrating the best in ourselves. When we celebrate the most honorable Marcus Garvey, we're celebrating one of the greatest geniuses and the greatest, leader to ever grace our race or walk the third rock from the sun, bar none. And this man was able to, why I recognize him as the standard bearer of success, who was blessed under duress to do more with less. And this man was able to come to America, travel. I mean, he was traveling in some of the worst conditions. He was going from state to state. He was, sometimes staying at the YMCA or wherever he could stay because the mission was more important than ego or comfort. And he would travel and go from place to place, speaking, rallying the troops, educating us, selling us to ourselves, and not allowing us to be manipulated by other people. And in the process of doing all this traveling and speaking and organizing, as he told Booker T when he first came to the U.S., he came on a mission from the Most High God. He was commissioned by God and driven by the ancestors. So when he came here, he wasn't coming to play. He can laugh and joke, but he didn't play. So Mr. Garvey got here and continued to grow and build and see the conditions and the way things were. He blessed us again by establishing right in the United States the largest mass movement for improvement to ever grace our race. And he was able to build from that as a master architect and chief engineer, the most comprehensive blueprint for Black power ever designed and constructed, a massive association. And one night he was able to recruit 800 members at someone else's program. This is the kind of power of his oratory that was starting to happen. He was able to build movements and millions of people per year. If it wasn't for Marcus Garvey on this day coming to the United States, we wouldn't have had the Black Star Line. We wouldn't have had the Black Eagle Flying Corps. We wouldn't have had the massive industries. Mr. Garvey was putting up a new business every month in Harlem. Every month. It was a new grocery store, it was a new millinery shop, it was a new printing press, it was new something popping up, steam laundry everywhere. This man showed us what we can do. And, to see his success and his accomplishments, to see the people who, like Malcolm X's family, like the Nnamdi Azikiwe's, like the Nkrumahs and other, people like Jomo Kenyatta and others who became some of the Africa's independent founding fathers, thanks to the message and wisdom of Mr. Garvey, and starting this journey again to the U.S. that started everything, from this, his ability to organize in the citadel of white supremacy, the largest movement, again, of improvement we've ever seen, and virtually an empire. Ever since he was inspired by God in London many years ago and had his epiphany where the ancestors communicated with him and kind of fired him up and set his brain afire with the desire for empire. He got us thinking that we can do anything we will and demonstrated that we can do anything we will. So, on this day, I like to always acknowledge that mission of his to go forward, walk out on faith and be a man of confidence. Because as he himself would say, if you don't have confidence, you're twice defeated in a race of life. But thank God he had the confidence and the conviction to go forward and come to the United States and bless us with the wisdom and knowledge that we have. And, I can talk, about Mr. Garvey till midnight and not run out of, joyous and beautiful things to say because of my gratitude for him in changing and transforming my life. And so I just wanted to, say a few words, along that line on this day that we acknowledge and celebrate him. And I thank, everyone for coming together to make this occasion even more auspicious. And I turn the mic back on to you, President Shaka Barack.
Thank you, my brother. What we're going to do, brothers and sisters, is have all of you who would like to make a brief comment on what you think or how do you feel the Marcus Garvey, his work, how it's something that you feel thankful for. What would you thank him for doing, if you could speak that into his hearing? Or for our purposes, let us know, what are you thankful for that the Marcus Garvey brought into this world? Let us start with the sister Diane. Is she still here? Diane, could you unmute, please? And tell us, what are you thankful for the Marcus Garvey doing for our race? Diane, phone. While we're waiting on her, Lanny, Kilo, would you like to tell us what you're thankful for the Marcus Garvey doing for our people? Unmute yourself. Oh, Diane, you with us?
Yes, I'm sorry. My phone was not behaving. So I am 100% thankful to be a part of this organization, 100% thankful to come into the realization a few years back that Marcus Garvey organization, UNIA, exists. And so the day I learned that the organization existed was the day I joined. And so I am thankful, just for the confidence, as Brother Moriama just mentioned. Marcus Garvey said, without confidence, we're twice defeated. I'm thankful that he laid out a black print. And I do believe that, I wouldn't say we're going to beat the 2 million or whatever, but I honestly believe that we can come close with some effort and with some unity and with some focus, undivided focus that we can implement based on, as was mentioned earlier, the black print that has been laid out before us. And with that, race first, everyone.
Thank you, Sister Diane. Brother Congo, would you unmute yourself and share with us, what are you thankful about in terms of what the Marcus Garvey did for our people? Brother Congo, would you unmute your mic and tell us, what are you thankful?
Yes, I'm happy that the dream continues, struggle continues, and that we're building. It's not an impossible, but we're growing, and we got to keep on growing. We just have to get the youth. Yeah. Anyway, peace out.
Peace out. Thank you, Brother Congo. Uh, Sister, I called her earlier. I think it was Lanny. And if it's not a sister, I apologize. Lanny, would you like to say what are you thankful for the Honorable Marcus Garvey doing for our race? Please unmute yourself. There's a whole lot that we could be thankful for. So if your circumstances won't allow you to speak,
Well,
oh,
thank you so much.
all right. There you go.
Yeah, thank you so much for the opportunity and greetings to everyone. I think just listening, to the contribution of the late Dr. Marcus, the contribution was immense. I think just the emancipation of the people, the mind, which was well ahead of his time. I mean, if you look at South Africa, we just got liberated in 1994. And there were many leaders, that led to that. But I believe that they were hugely and immensely influenced by the late Dr. Marcus Garvey. And I think just bringing people of color together and even putting some of the institutions that are being spoken of, we are still benefiting and we are still going to benefit even more. It's amazing that in spite of all those contributions, there's still so much work that needs to be done. So we are really grateful. So I think maybe for now, that is just, the appreciation that I can express from South Africa, and the rest of the continent. And long may the good work continue. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Brother Lanny. I have a daughter named Ya. I don't know if this is her, but Ya, would you unmute yourself and tell us what are you thankful for the Honorable Marcus Garvey doing for our people? Ya, would you unmute yourself and tell us in your own words, what are you thankful for the Honorable Marcus Garvey doing for our people?
Peace and love. This is Sister Ya. I'm from the UNIA 407 division in Detroit. And I've been with the UNA for almost a year, and I am thankful for the spirit that lives within me and everyone else. That was the whole objective to me joining the UNA when his spirit came to me, and I discovered that the UNA was still in existence, and that seed that was planted in of the indestructible things that we're able to build, as we understand that one God is us, you know, and to never forget that, and then the one aim is the synchronized mission that we all have instinctively to make sure that we're walking in our purpose and that we're here doing the work and that it can be done. And so, the one destiny is that we all are one. And so all the work that we do collectively comes together for the greater good of ourselves, and to understand that, our greatest issue is our minds, and being able to unlock our minds and have that liberation and to be able to walk in our authority. And so what he built that is still in existence today, that still hasn't been able to be destroyed, understanding that memory, that mission, that work, we are still doing it as we are one. And so he planted the seed, and it's up to us to continue on the work and to get to the destination. And we can all do it together as long as we come together. And so as I find my place within the UNIA and I continue this work, I'm just thankful for Marcus Garvey. I'm thankful for all of you, and I'm thankful for this space. Peace and love.
Always love, Sister Ya. Now, this isn't my daughter, but she's going to be my daughter. You just stay close to the UNIA, you're going to be all right. Brothers and sisters, I want to just give some of our presenters just one last opportunity to do the same thing, and that is to take under a minute to say, what is it that you're thankful for the Honorable Marcus Garvey doing for our people? Let's start with our scholar, Jeffrey Phelps.
Well, the thing that I'm most grateful for, Marcus Garvey, I'm sort of echoing Kwame Nkrumah. We were unaware of our own degradation. And that's one of the things that I give thanks that, I found Garvey. As Dr. Julius pointed out, you look around the world right now and you see the degradation. You see the inhumanity. And Garvey has set us on a path of liberation, and especially by helping us to free our minds, because with a free mind, a committed mind, you can do anything. And that is what I want to teach the children, that with a free mind, a committed mind, with the power of the mind, the importance of purpose, and the strength of perseverance, they can achieve anything.
Thank you. Brother Jeffrey, would you show us a picture of your book, if you don't mind?
Which one?
This is one at a time.
Here is one. It's called The Story of Mark. I'm still editing this one. But do I have it here? Oh yes. This one I'm very proud of. It's a Marcus Garvey coloring book. And they learn about Africa. A is for Africa, B is for Black Star Line, K is for Kemet, G is for Garvey, H is for this one I am really, really proud of. And yes. And again, it's bringing to the children so that they won't be like me meeting Garvey for the first time when I'm 20. From the time they're 2 and 3 and 4, they're learning the names of our heroes.
Thank you, brother. Brother John, your last remarks in terms of what are you thankful for the Honorable Marcus Garvey doing for our race?
Thank you for the opportunity, Brother Shock. I'll be honest, 1 minute is not enough time to mention everything that I'm thankful for from Mr. Garvey. As I've sat back and listened and thought of what others have said, one thing that's come to my mind, for me, I believe to consider, to give Marcus Garvey the characteristics of ahead of his time, Renaissance man, are accurate, but not sufficient. I personally believe Marcus Garvey was divinely prepared and sent by none other than God himself to us as a people to give us, as he said in some of his texts, an example, something for us to look up to strive to meet the accomplishments of. Even as we're looking through the numbers of membership, we have a lot of work to do. One thing that I don't want to happen is for Mr. Garvey's legacy to become in the realm of mythos, to where when we look at the pyramids of Egypt, we can see them, but we constantly ask ourselves, how did that happen? And how was that able to be built? I foresee the same thing happening with Marcus Garvey's legacy in the UNIA. People are going to wonder, how did a man from Jamaica be able to amass millions of Africans throughout the world under one banner? And there may even become a point, if we haven't reached there, to where people don't think that it really happened. So for me, the thing that Mr. Garvey, that I'm most proud of Mr. Garvey, is he gave us a legacy. He gave us something to fight for, but he created something for future generations to be able to inherit. The work that he did, the work that our ancestors did through the UNIA, through our international conventions, the Declaration of Rights, the red, black, and green flag, the anthems. These are things that we don't have to recreate. These are things that we are blessed at this time to be able to inherit, to cherish, and hopefully we take the responsibility to teach these lessons to our future generations so that they also have something to inherit. But if I could leave it in one term, it would be a legacy. I thank Marcus Garvey and our ancestors for the legacy of pride and confidence and accomplishment and organization that we've been able to inherit and carry forward. Thank you, Brother Shaka.
Thank you, my brother. Dr. Gail Frazier, it was a beautiful prayer that you did for us earlier, but we want to ask you now to also contribute. What, in your opinion, are you thankful for the Honorable Marcus Garvey doing for our people?
Well, thank you, Brother Shaka, and all of my family online. I am definitely grateful and I'm thankful. I want to say that the Honorable Marcus Mosiah Garvey certainly has made a major imprint in the lives of all of our people. And one of the things that I also want to thank God for is the fact that He used you. He used you, Brother Shaka, to come and teach many of my students. And I've had used you on several occasions to come in and speak to them. And you would eloquently share with them all of the knowledge that you had on the inside of you to impart into the children. And so being an educator myself, I know that that is one of the most important things that we have to focus on. And so the saying that the honorable Marcus Mosiah Garvey said, "Up, you mighty race, you can accomplish what you will." That in itself instills power in the minds and in the hearts of our young people. And so, just thinking about that legacy and everything that God used him for, and most importantly for me, is the fact that he honored God. Because a lot of times people try to separate God from the Honorable Marcus Mosiah Garvey. They want to do it as if you can divide the two, but he was a man of faith. And in addition to him being a man of faith, he was a Christ follower. And if you read his teachings, it's all woven in what he has. So
Right.
that thing right there in and of itself shows that he acknowledged the fact that he was being led by the Spirit of God. And that is something that we have to know for ourselves, that if we're going to do anything that's going to be beneficial to anybody, we have to know who is leading us and who are we being led by. So I'm just going to say that. That's my position right there. And I thank you so very much for this opportunity. And everybody on here, be blessed. God bless you all.
Thank you. Thank you, my sister. We're at the end of the program. I want to have our elder, Dr. Julius Garvey, close us out with marching orders. If you will, Dr. Garvey, unmute,
I'm sorry, Brother Shaka.
please.
If I may, the UNIA cultural ambassador, I think he just came on kind of late, Brother Sam Fudge. Is he in the group?
I don't see him.
Sam Lee Fudge?
No, he's not here.
Okay, yeah, he told me he texted me that he was on, but I guess maybe he's not on. But I was gonna just just want to hear him say something quickly. But if he's not, you can continue on,
All right. There is someone here, Brother Minister. Who is that? Brother
Greetings, Elder. It's Brother Malak from London, from the UNIA division in London.
We're about to wrap up because we wanted to keep it around an hour, but please share with us, my brother, what are you thankful for the Honorable Marcus Garvey doing for our people?
We're building the UNIA for one. We're grateful that we have a program that we can bring our people in to help liberate our people. I'm grateful for him giving his life for us, his thoughts, his heart, his spirit. There's so much I could be grateful for, but that's the main thing. He's given us a vision of universal African nationalism that is, if applied in our life, this philosophy can free all of our brothers and sisters around the world. And I'm so grateful for him for that, because there has never been another man with this plan since the man. So yeah, I'm grateful for that order.
Thank you, my brother. Once again, I want to have our elder, Dr. Julius Winston Garvey, close us out. Would everyone please mute yourself? Dr. Garvey.
Oh, sure. Basically, I'd like to say a couple of things. Marcus Garvey was shall we say, the greatest Black theologian of the first half of the 20th century, and also the greatest Black philosopher. And it's important for us to understand that, the depth of his thinking. I think all of us understood that there was an African Orthodox church, but we don't necessarily understand that that was not the official church of the UNIA, and there was a reason for that. That he didn't want, one particular brand of Christianity or one particular religious entity to be the official religious organization, of religion for the organization, because he wanted to appeal to all of us as African people. And as we mentioned earlier on, his understanding of that was that there was one God, not one God for Muslims and one God for Hebrews and one God for Christians. So that was very central to his thinking. And, the other thing that was central to his thinking, and as you also mentioned, that, he had Hebrews in the organization, that the organization itself spun off, many different black Muslims, etc., and others, and the Rastafarians came out of it, etc. I think, what is important to understand is the essence of the spirituality that was manifested within the organization. And, he brought God down to the people. God, for most of us up to that time, was elevated up there somewhere, and was of some things to be worshipped external to ourselves. He taught us to worship God within ourselves. And he did the same thing for Jesus, if you understand his Christology, which is very, very important. He did not see Jesus as half God, half man, as been brought down to us through the Roman Catholic Church. He understood that the original understanding of Jesus was simply that he was a divinely inspired individual who had manifested the fullness of his spirituality as a human being. And that's how he saw Jesus. And that's what he aspired to do in himself. And that's what he taught us to do for ourselves. So our spirituality was not externalized. Our Christianity, if you want to call it, was not a ritual. And it was not an external prayer. It was an internal communication with the God within ourselves. So, I think we don't necessarily understand that, but it's important to understand that he was very much someone who was expressing the God in himself to the fullest extent that he was capable of doing that. And that was an example that he was setting to all of us. And that's why he always, signed everything as your humble servant, because, the manifestation of God is as a servant, manifesting to help all people. And of course, as he said, whatever you do for self goes no further than yourself, but whatever you do for others takes you even into eternity. And as far as, a mind is concerned, he said, mind creates, and anything you want in nature, you can achieve through the creative intelligence of your mind. So he was someone who had mastered his mind and accessed his own spirituality. And he tried to make us understand that each one of us had that ability. And I think that's important for us to understand and shall we say, discipline ourselves in that way and pass that on to the next generation, because that is really what is needed. We see now the absolute total manifestation of the bestiality of the European so-called civilization. I mean, we have seen televised genocide. We have seen the attacks on Iran where they're bombing civilians. Not military targets, they're bombing civilians. You know, the first day they killed 165 children, and they double dip. You know, when people came now to save them, they bombed them again. I mean, this is inhumanity. This is viciousness. This is barbarism. And that is not who we are as human beings. And he taught us to be fully human. And that is the next paradigm. That is the African paradigm of African humanism, as I like to call it. And that's what Marcus Garvey was preaching, African humanism, which is understanding of our spiritual essence and the mastery that we can accomplish of our mind, so we can bring to reality, you know, the fullness of our spiritual nature, which makes us one with everything else. It makes us one with nature. It makes us one with people. It makes us one with the animals, with the plants, and with everything that exists. So that's Marcus Garvey par excellence for me. And I thank him for that. And of course, I thank him for being my father. I hope he had some fun when he was creating me. Okay, Shaka.
Perfect summation.
Brother Moore, would you lead us in the model? And Brother John, would you follow with the slogan, please?
My pleasure.
No. Would I be able to do the chaplain prayers as well? Or did we do that already?
I did that.
Okay, good. You said lead us in the motto?
Yes.
Okay. Yes, sir. Well, everyone can raise their black fist, hand on their heart. Repeat after me. One God.
One God.
One God.
I heard almost everybody. Let me say that again. One God.
One
One
God.
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 One aim.
One
Aim.
One destiny.
One
destiny.
Africa.
Destiny.
Africa for the Africans.
Africa.
For the
For the
Africans.
Africans.
For the Africans.
For the
For the
Those at
Africans.
home.
Those at home.
Those at home.
Those at home.
And
Those
those
at home.
abroad.
Those abroad.
And
Those
those
abroad.
abroad.
Repeat after me. May the Lord watch
May the Lord watch
God watch
between me and thee
between me and thee
while we are absent
while we are absent
absent
one from another.
one from another.
another.
Go in peace.
I say.
Go in peace. Peace, love, and
Peace.
Always love.
Peace and love.
Peace and love.
Peace and love.
Love.
Honorable.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Brother Jeffrey.
I need to thank Dr. Elizabeth Kuda for putting the Zoom together. John, she put this together and left me in charge. So
She did a great job.
she's busy, but she's here with us. And so she made the 110th anniversary of the Honorable Marcus Garvey coming to the United States of America. Thank you, Dr. Kuda.
Yeah.
Thank you, Dr. Kuda.
Love you, Dr. Kuda. Very proud of you. Thank you, Dr. Kuda.
Yeah, much love and respect to Dr. Kuda. Praise Buddha, Dr. Kuda, as I always say. Is Brother Jeffrey still on, or he signed off?
Thank you.